Hello, we're the West Ladies. Welcome to Homestead Blessings, the art of crafting.
We're especially excited about this episode of Homestead Blessings because we love to make crafts, both to beautify our home and to give us gifts to loved ones.
And the great news about crafting is that with a little creative resourcefulness, it can be done very affordably. It doesn't have to be expensive.
We're eager to get started, so come join us as we explore the art of crafting.
We'd like to make some pine cone fire starters.
All right.
This is a wonderful, wonderful, easy craft to do, and it's going to turn out like this. It's a pine cone dipped in wax over a couple of times, and it makes a wonderful fire starter.
That's great. And if you don't have a fireplace or a wood-burning stove, it makes a great fire starter for campfires also, doesn't it?
Yes.
All right. So how does this work?
First, we want to get a double boiler going. That means we have one pot down here with some water about this high up.
Yep.
Okay. So this water is warming. We put our stove on medium to probably low. Then we have another container with our wax in it down in the water. And this can be an old juice can that we've recycled. And we just melt the wax slowly, right? And what I use for wax is, I've got it all crumpled up here.
Broke them up into little pieces and they melt down really quickly that way. It works well.
And sometimes they're already scented too. So I recycled my wax also.
That's good. And for the pine cones, if you live near a park or if you actually have pine trees on your own property, you can just collect the pine cones laying around. It's so easy. And I mean, that's
kind of something fun you can do with your children, gather pine cones.
It is, yes.
Okay. Now, do you want to show your little wire apparatus
First,
there?
what you can do is you get a piece of heavy gauge wire about this length here. Let's see if I can straighten it out. And then you're going to double it over. And then just make little ends here. Kind of bend the ends like that. There we go. Because it's going to hold your pine cone. It's what you're going to do is put it close to the top into your pine cone, and you can just, it's wire, so just work with it, until you get it shoved in there. It's not, doesn't have to be perfect. It's just going to hold the pine cone for a little while. So if I can get mine stuck in there.
Right. So you don't have to.
I think that'll hold it right there.
Kind of like tongs or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And watch your. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure.
Sure.
And then we're going to dip it in. See if this works. There we go.
And if you want to, now you see how it's dripping. What we can do, we can let this wax, we can even turn off the flame for a little while and let that wax get a little thicker, and that'll be okay for pine cones.
Right. You can let the wax be a little cooler.
Cooler and thicker.
The fact that it's dripping really fast means the wax is really hot. But anyway, so you do this a few times, right?
Right.
And here's one it's been dipped a couple times already, so we'll dip it again.
Ooh.
That's beautiful.
Wow, isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
They're very, very, very easy to do. This one is about finished.
I think that one is finished.
I think it is finished. Isn't that beautiful?
So you just keep dipping it several times until the pine cone is well coated.
And then you remove you can wait for a little while until the wax is not so hot anymore.
Remove your
wire.
It's easy to remove because you just pressed it in there.
That's beautiful.
It is.
And you can show the basket there, Hannah.
That's right. There's a whole basket of them. You can use different colors. You can use red or this color, or you can use white. It doesn't matter what color. It's just I think they look really cool.
And that makes a nice gift, doesn't it?
It does.
Like we gave a family, and they had a nice fireplace, and we were real happy to give them a basket of pine cone fire starters.
Yeah, I think they used them right away.
And Jasmine, you want to come, while we have wax, and a lot of times we have our wax going, and once again, I recycled some brown wax. We made gingerbread ornaments.
Gingerbread ornaments out of styrofoam, and I think we demonstrated how to do a styrofoam ornament on our candle DVD, so if you want to watch that to get the detail of it. But basically what we did is we made a shape of a gingerbread man. You can use a cookie cutter, but I like this because you can make it a little wider and bigger. And you just trace it onto your styrofoam and cut it out. And then you dip it down your wax several times. And on your last dip, I think it takes about 3 or 4, 5 dips maybe. On your last dip, while your wax is still hot, you take some string or rickrack, but something white, and you do this little trimming and smush down the buttons. And you can use cloves for eyes. And then you just take a needle and make a hole in his head to make his little hanger, and it's a gingerbread ornament. And I think you'll agree, these gingerbread ornaments and pine cone fire starters are wonderful crafts to do in the winter season.
Another fun thing we like to make with natural products is potpourri.
You can collect a lot of these items just right in your yard, like pine cones. These are some that we sprayed gold. That adds a nice touch to your potpourri. Dried orange peels are really easy, and I'll show you how we dry ours. We like to eat our oranges in rounds, so after you eat it, you save it. Mom's always, save your orange peels, girls. And then you just...
They smell good, don't they?
They do. You just twist them. You can twist them probably any way, but if you do it just right, it'll make a pretty corkscrew. And then we just set them around the house, especially in the wintertime. This is a great thing to do in the wintertime. The house is nice and toasty warm, and they dry very easy. And they stay twisted. And it's so fun. So that's it. You want to make sure they're nice and crispy too. And then we just store them in a jar like this with a nice airtight lid so they stay nice and crispy for our potpourri when it's time to mix it up.
Okay,
So-
what should we do first? How about big stuff? What do you
That's what
think?
I was thinking, the big stuff.
Okay, so I have some larger, kind of medium, I don't know what you call them. They're small but not tiny pine cones. Okay,
Add the
corn cobs.
and maybe
Can be kind of bulky.
some corn husks.
Now, I went ahead and just twisted some
Oh, those are
corn
cute.
husks because I thought that was kind of cute.
Just
So
kind
I
of
kind of tore them up and then just twisted them.
at
You
the
could,
bottom. That is really neat.
gives
That
another
looks so pretty.
effect. Yeah. I usually like to put cayenne peppers, dried cayenne peppers, but you'd want to watch out
Yes.
with those. They're kind of hot. But they
careful
give
when
a
you're
nice,
mixing.
beautiful red color.
Yeah, that's
these
probably
are
good on
kind of
that.
nice. With like everything else, you want contrasting colors and contrasting textures. It makes
Right.
the potpourri more interesting.
Exactly, and you can, like this one is probably going to be more of a fall potpourri. You could do a wintertime potpourri with some reds, but we're going to do like a fall potpourri with some browns and oranges.
So potpourri is sort of like pleasing to the eye and the senses, right?
Yes.
The smell is going to be wonderful, but it's going to look nice too.
Right.
This is a dried potpourri. And we added some bay leaves, and bay leaves are wonderful. They smell nice, but they also, they're kind of a natural preservative. It's really wonderful. But they look beautiful too,
They
nice,
do.
and they dry really nice.
And they last longer. They're thicker than a leaf from an oak tree or something.
Yes,
They're
these
not
will
as
last
crunchy.
a long time.
After we mix in the essential oils, we're going to put it in an airtight container and kind of let those essential oils soak in. We're going to keep it like that for, a couple of days, maybe a week. And those oils absorb into, especially like the corn cobs and stuff. That way it holds the scent of the essential oils. It holds it in. And then we'll spread it out and kind of decorate it again. So we have a few essential oils here. We have cinnamon leaf essential oil. Before we add that, I'm going to get a stainless steel bowl because we don't want our wooden bowl to absorb. Yeah.
All right, that's a good idea. And it's not going to hurt a thing to throw that in there and to mix all this up.
And, okay, so
Okay.
we'll start with the cinnamon leaf.
Now, why do you like to use pure essential?
Well, I am sensitive to fragrance oils. And I can get a headache
that up so
with
I don't-
fragrance oils. So any candles, scented candles, or anything like that,
How much do you want to put in here, Jess?
we're just going to start with a few drops. It's better to have less than too much because you can always
Right.
add more essential oil. And of course, you could always add more ingredients if you did get too much scent in there.
And this is
So this is orange.
sweet orange. I'm
Sweet
just going to
orange.
drop it, just little drops all around. And do be careful in case you're sensitive to essential oils. Some people are.
And I would use...
Okay.
So now I'm going to add some cinnamon leaf. This is smelling good already. And like Mom, she just sprinkled it around. Just a few drops. And we don't measure with this. You just do a few drops
What would you say when you poured it out? Was it like a fourth of a or eighth of a?
Eighth of a teaspoon, probably.
Yeah, so y'all know it's like an eighth of a teaspoon, but or if you you may want to start with smaller amounts.
Right.
It's not
There's
a,
some nutmeg oil, essential oil.
Okay.
A little bit of that.
This is going to be real
I think this
spicy,
is
right?
probably good too.
We call it holiday spice when we make it up.
Yes, perfect for winter time. So what we'll do is mix it up and then put it in your airtight containers to steep for about 3 days to a week maybe. And then you want to cover it up and seal it really good and shake it every now and then or mix it with your spoon. Isn't that beautiful? That is so pretty.
All right. Oh, okay.
And then when it's ready, find a nice decorative bowl. This is a pretty wooden bowl that we found that we're not going to use this for food. This is just going to be our potpourri bowl. There you go.
Can I shake it up?
Sure. Shake it up.
All right. You know, I could have it on the counter, walk by once a day and shake it up a little bit.
You could.
Okay.
So we're going to pretend like it's been 3 days to a week, and we're going to pour it in our bowl. And this is when you can have fun and fix it up and add your decorative flowers. That these probably would have gotten crushed. These are straw flowers. You can grow these. These are very easy to grow.
And this is a beautiful, beautiful bowl of the dried potpourri. Isn't it nice?
It is.
And you have another idea?
I do. Sometimes before we have company, or if we had unexpected company, you know, we will have been cooking fish that day or something and the house doesn't smell the best. So we grab cinnamon sticks and we put them in an enamel pot, or this one's nice, it's cast iron. And we like to use something that we're not going to cook with again, because this becomes our potpourri pot. So we just throw in some cinnamon sticks and maybe some orange peels. And for this, you can use fresh orange peels.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, maybe these are cinnamon chips. These are already broken up, so they have some of the flavor released already. And we even add whole cloves and a few fresh cloves, and sometimes even cinnamon powder. And then you just pour some water over that and put it on the stove and let it simmer for a while, and your house will be smelling wonderful.
And this is a wet potpourri.
Yes, this is called a wet or simmer potpourri.
Oh, great. So this potpourri, we could sit around the house just like it is. You can display your beautiful potpourri in a wooden bowl like this, or you can find these nice little boxes and containers that potpourri would look beautiful in.
You can also package your potpourri in these bags like this and tie it with a little bow. However you choose to package your potpourri, we hope you make some, because every home loves the smell of potpourri. In our home, we like to use cloth napkins at our family meal table. Today we're going to show you how to make a napkin and also how to embellish it with a handmade stamp. We love to use cotton and muslin to make our napkins because it's nice and soft. And so what we do, we cut out a square out of our cotton or muslin, 16 by 16 inches, and we like to finish our napkins with the fray on the edge. It kind of adds another characteristic and artisticness to it. And either you need to lay your pattern or cut your napkin straight on the grain so it'll fray easier, or you can just tear it like I did.
You also want to make sure, if you're going to fray it, to do a hem around the border of your napkin. And here we did a 1/2 inch seam allowance, or well, we went in 1/2 inch to do our hem. So when we fray it, it doesn't fray past the stitching there, and it won't fray into our napkin. So
Right.
we have a nice edging of fray there.
Right, and this is, I don't even know if we should call it a hem. It's really just a top stitch.
Right.
Because you're not turning anything under. It's just right on top of your material. But
Right.
that way the fray stops.
And you
Nice.
could machine this or hand stitch it if you wanted to.
Right, we machine stitched it.
That's right. It's also super easy to fray. Instead of doing, like she was saying, instead of doing a complete hem, if you've just sewn along the edges, then what you do, this is like the plain solid edge, what we're going to do is we're going to take all these little threads and start pulling on them like this. And it takes a minute. Yeah, would you like to
Two
help?
on one side. And this is a nice linen. You can use
That's
linen
right, and
too.
it's really easy to fray
nice.
it. So you just start pulling all these loose threads.
Yeah, it's
And
frayed
what
on
that's
this side.
going to do is just make your napkin fray. And it's going to give it that really cute rustic look.
Here you go, Hannah. Show 'em.
All right?
There we
This
go.
is a finished. We've already pulled all the strings out of this one and made the
that's
edges frayed.
nice.
And I think that looks really
I
cute.
think as you wash them too, they'll fray
Oh,
even
yeah.
more.
And
That's
that'll
why
help
the
give it
stitch
a-
is nice because it'll keep it right.
That's right. It'll help give it a finished
Okay.
look.
So now for our print, for this particular napkin that I made, I used for my print, I used a carrot.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I know, and thought it was really fun to do. I'm using an acrylic, just a basic acrylic paint. I like to cut 2 sizes of carrots so that it looks realistic, because not all cherries are real big. You want to get it, try to get the carrot sliced very evenly. I'm going to cut this size here. Okay, and be very careful while you're cutting, of course, watch your fingers. And you want to get it as straight across as you can so that when you stamp, you know, all the paint gets on the fabric, kind of test it out. It's nice and flat. Now, I've cut this, and what I also like to do, I like to make a little notch in it because it looks realistic, makes the cherry look like a real cherry because that's where the stem comes out. And so I make like a slight little V right there, like that. And we'll see how that looks. Usually it just makes a real nice little realistic touch. We'll see how that does. Now what we thought would be fun, we're gonna print this napkin. I have a carrot. Does everybody have a carrot?
I don't.
I think, well, you'll probably have to test it too. What I decided, I wanted kind of a vintage look, and I wanted my cherries, you know, I do a few over here and a few over here. I just went around this napkin kind of in a circle, and remembering that my cherries would, 2 of them are gonna kind of attach.
Oh, that's a good
Isn't
idea.
that neat?
Okay, and then we need some white paint, don't we, Mom, to do the little glare.
now
See
I'm
how
gonna
the
go
cherry has a
here.
little white on it, and that's to show the light reflection. So we get our white paint. We'll just do that with the paintbrush. It's really easy.
Sure.
All right now.
Thank you.
Just as though the light was shining there.
Makes
It's
it
just,
very
you know,
realistic.
cherries have that. We can also put stems, and
You want to do
I'll
some
do
stems?
the pin. Now this stem, actually those are really quite,
Yeah, and sometimes stems
there
are
we go.
thicker
That's
on
not
top.
hard.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
That's cute.
And then it's just, I love cherries because they're happy.
They're a happy fruit.
They're happy cherries. Okay. So we're going to show you another fun print. And this time we're going to use sponges. What I want to do, and I'll show you first, is I want to have do leaves. So I have to get my colors for leaves. We get red, brown, yellow, those kind of fall colors. Okay. I get my paint out, you know, my colors. I think about my fall colors, orange, and I like maple leaves. That's great. Okay, you can take an oak leaf and put it on cardboard and trace it out if you want. Or if you draw, you know, I like to just make my shape on one side and then cut it out and then, you know, bring it out, and that's like an oak leaf, something like an oak leaf. At least I wanted to make it a little bigger because I'm going to be cutting the sponge out, and it's not real easy. So took a marker and marked the, you know, around. This is, the cardboard is a template, which is nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Now, you can use the pattern from an actual oak leaf, can't you?
Sure, you could. The reason I like the cardboard is because it's nice and stiff. It's not going to move.
Okay.
Basically,
just
this
cut
is,
it.
and then I would take my scissors. It's kind of tricky with scissors sometimes, but you can do it. And actually, if it's not perfect, it's okay. It's still going to turn out to be, you know, you would do it sort of like this. it's still gonna turn out to be
A leaf.
looking like a leaf.
So it's probably easier when you're cutting to cut away. Instead of trying to cut out the shape, just cut away sponge.
Yeah. Cut all the sponge that doesn't look like a leaf away.
Well, that's great. I
Okay.
think that's pretty easy.
So we have our oak leaf. Here it is. Okay, cut out. And I took a real maple leaf from outside and I put it on my sponge once again. And I wanted it as large anyway. Basically, I did the same thing. I took the leaf and I took cardboard and made a template and then cut out the shape out of the sponge because they're nice. This is going to give me a nice texture. This is a beautiful linen, but we cut out several, so if we why don't we concentrate in the corners because that's what's going to show when
When
I'm
you
going to go
fold it,
ahead.
that's a good idea maybe
Yeah.
to plan out your design according to how you're going to fold your
Oh,
napkin.
you're going to do yours.
So
in
if you
there.
fold your napkin in fourths, or like this, with the fringe showing, that's pretty. You might want to plan to do your design right there in the corner.
Okay, do you have a?
So
you
why
wanna
don't we
do
do
the
that? I
little
think
one?
that would be very pretty.
You want to do the oak leaf, Cece?
Sure.
And I
Just
think
load
we
it
need
up
to
with
do
that paint.
Okay.
on this side.
There you go. You can do whatever
try
you
the
want.
small
I'm
stamp.
you're gonna do small. I'll do maple leaf, but I need a brush. You got a brush, Jazz?
Sure.
Oh boy, this is fun.
And I think I'm going to finish cutting.
And you know, if you all work together, you could have a set of napkins pretty quickly.
Oh,
yeah.
Just some people could cut out the napkin and some sew your hem stitch around and some fray and go to stamp and everybody could stamp. That was really fun.
And sometime, once again, like Mom did, you can always go back with your paintbrush if you want to fix the design, change the design a little.
Oh, that's pretty.
That is.
That looks so cute.
Now mine needs more.
So these are some simple and fun ideas of how to make your mealtime more special and to help brighten up the house.
And now we'd like to make a quill pen. It's another way to write, and actually it wasn't that long ago when folks wrote with just a feather. First thing we need to do is pick out a feather. Now, if you have friends that hunt, you know, they might be able to bring you home some turkey feathers or something like that. You might be able to order some feathers. I've never ordered any. We've had plenty of turkeys and
Or you can just
Right
even
here.
find some on the farm if you
Yeah.
raise turkeys.
Yes.
You can just find some feathers
Or
laying
other
around
birds,
sometimes.
I like this nice strong feather.
one is pretty.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Well, one thing you want to do is try to cut these little feathers right here so you have a real smooth, like that, Hannah.
Okay.
You want to trim that up for me, and I'll see if
Sure.
I can trim the other
So
one.
just around the edges here. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take around the edges here where it's kind of like fuzzy
Yeah.
almost. The feathers aren't as nice down here, and you're going to trim with
Right.
scissors. Just want to trim that away a little bit.
Actually, you can pull it also, but it takes a little. There we go. I think you
trim
can
up the
trim with the
side a little
scissors.
bit.
That way you can have room for your hands. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right. This shaft here from the feather is what's going to hold the ink.
Oh.
Yeah, but it can't until we kind of carve out the back. I like the front of the feather, or it won't matter how you carve it. But what we're going to do, Hannah, is carve out the back here.
All right. And you can also see when you study a feather closely, you can see how the inside almost looks hollow down
It
at the
is.
bottom.
It is
So,
hollow.
and then once you start cutting on it, you'll find that it is hollow. There's like a little bit of, I don't know, there's a little bit of stuff in there, but you can clean that out and it works really well.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Well, I'm going to try to carve it away, and if you, now you can use a knife, you have to be very careful. And if the knife doesn't work, of course, that's kind of makes it more authentic, you know, using a knife or your quill pen. But if you can't, you can use scissors, okay?
All right.
So when you do the knife, like I said, I like to use the back of the feather to cut away here. So what we'll do is we're going to cut the back of this away. I tell you
All right.
what, I'm going to cut mine out like this.
Okay, I'm going to try mine with a pocket knife.
Ah, mine worked. All right, now I'm even going to angle it this way also.
So you're
Okay.
making a point on yours?
Right. And then you want to blunt the tip like that. Straight across. Now, if
Okay.
you're using a knife, you'd lay it down and then cut it there, of course. And then I think with the knife, I will. And the next thing you want to do, now I have that cut out right there. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make a slice about a 1/2 inch up. And that slice is actually where, when I dip it into the ink, that slice is where the ink's going to hold.
All right.
All right, so I'm gonna take some scissors this time, and I'm gonna go up at least a 1/2 inch. It's almost like you're creating a calligraphy pen in a way
Okay.
when you blunt the tip off back here. I might have blunted that off a little bit too much. How's that going?
This one, I think it's working.
Yeah. Now you probably wouldn't want it that wide. I
Okay,
don't
so
think.
just trim it a little
Yeah,
bit, like a
I
point.
would. So I've got my feathers cleaned up here. This is a amazing, easy, simple. Did you put your little
Right.
slice in there?
I'm gonna
yet?
make a notch, like she said, or a slice from the front. Here's the front of my feather, and I'm gonna make a slice in the front about a 1/2 inch, because that's gonna help to hold the ink. So,
Okay, easy, honey.
Yeah.
Okay.
that looks good.
All right, now you ready to try it?
Sure.
But first, before we try it, we're going to make the ink, which is a blessing because we've made our pen, and now we're going to make our ink out of beautiful blackberries.
So show us how this is done.
Well, we're just going to crush this up.
Okay.
Right.
So you start with the whole berries like
Right.
this.
Right.
And then you just crush them up
Crush,
in a bowl.
crush, yes. Okay.
Mash them. These look like they're pretty crushed.
You can use a t-shirt, an old t-shirt, or you can use curtain.
Okay.
We use shears. We call them shears.
But you want it cloth because it's
Cloth.
a tighter weave, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
I will tell you too, it stains a lot. So if you use glass bowls, it might be better because you're going to be staining a lot. This is going
So
to
we're
make
just going to
ink.
pour it into the...
Pour it into the little. Yeah, go and get all that juice if you can. This is something that's pretty neat, and this is something that boys and girls could really get into. You know,
There we go.
if you're doing a history study, wouldn't that be fun?
That would